Part 22. National Games Online Game, transform into Gongsunli at the beginning. Author, show your secrets. Chapter 211. Gongsunli was dressed in white and stood in the air. Holding a white flower umbrella in his hand, a tassel with antique elements hangs down from the handle of the umbrella. He wears a red and white mask on his forehead, and his white hair is combed in 2 braids at the back of his head. It looks sacred, but there is also an indescribable sense of playfulness. Come, try the power of softness. Looking at Gongsunli, all the heroes suddenly felt that the temperature around them had dropped a lot. You can even see snowflakes falling in the sky. And above the sky behind Gongsunli, there were 3 whirlpools of different colors. Woo! Suddenly, a hurricane blew. The strong wind sweeps up the dust, cleansing all the filth. Gang Feng, open the way. Who's in the way? In the sky, gusts of wind sounded. It seemed to blow away everything in this world, but there was a figure standing proudly in the hurricane. If the heavens are unkind, I will teach him to be merciful. Lu Buletin was dressed in blue and white armor, and 2 white pheasant tails fluttered behind him from the top of his head. A head of white hair also danced in the wind. Holding the Fang Tian painting halberd in his hand, he stood in the wind, and the blue vortex was behind him, as if he was the only one left in the entire heaven and earth. Just one glance is intimidating. I can't help but praise a natural fierce general, the god of war. Boom! Suddenly, a thunderclap flashed in the blue vortex next to Lu Buletin. Through the whirlpool, people seem to see a world of thunder and lightning, in which mountains and rocks are lined up, and lightning is everywhere. But there was a figure shuttling through it, as if it was not afraid of the power of thunder and lightning. The strength of the poor old cow leads the thunder and lightning in the world. The power of thunder. Dare to give it a try. The bull demon has a sturdy muscle, blue armor, and 2 large, exaggerated horns on his head. Carrying a huge blue hammer in his hand, he fell from the sky. Lightning flashed on the blue hammer from time to time. When you look at it, you feel like you have the power of a thunderbolt. The timid people were already frightened just by seeing the red pupils of the bull demon. It seems that he is a natural defender, specializing in eliminating the injustices of the world. Blessed by the heavenly river. The rain of foundation and moisture can be 1 step ahead. Come and witness the myth of mortals. The rain is coming. Zhuliang was dressed in cyan clothes and holding a feather fan, just like a handsome son. The white hair not only does not look abrupt, but with his more delicate face, there is a different meaning. At a glance, people can know that this is a god in charge of the water system. Looking at these 4 in the sky, everyone was speechless in shock. This is the birth of several more gods of war. I can't believe that tens of thousands of years later, we have given birth to several more gods of war. It's so enviable. These are the 4 weather gods who have appeared after the 5 mountain lords. Wind, thunder, rain, and snow, is it headed by snow? Looking at Gongsunli, all the heroes were a little surprised. Originally, they thought that the 5 peaks, 5 holy beasts, and 5 tiger generals were the ceiling, but now that they look at it, it seems to be far more than that. Moreover, it is easy to see that Gongsun is different from others. However, compared with the surprised heroes, what is really surprised is the audience in the live broadcast room. The people of Blue Star, when have they seen such a scene? Gongsunli turned out to be 1 of the 4 gods. Gods? Gods like Nuwo have been sealed, and they can indeed be called gods. But, she's Gongsunli. It's our Blue Star past, this. Become a god. Before the world channel is opened, Gongsunli has become a god. This is the luck of my Xia kingdom. Is this true? Is Gongsunli really a god? Why? Isn't that an exaggeration? What are we going to compare to them? In the live broadcast room, all the Blue Star people were speechless. This kind of thing is really beyond everyone's imagination. Gongsunli has been under their noses since he entered the second home. They watched Gongsun become a god step by step. Until now, they couldn't believe it. Because Gongsunli didn't seem to have suffered much from beginning to end. This can't help but remind them of the luck of Gongsunli at the beginning. However, it is clear that this is not the end of the matter. They want to put the last seal on the core of the ark. Ganlin is surging. Behind Zhujiang, a phantom of a dragon head suddenly appeared. Majestic crane dance. On top of the umbrella in Gongsunli's hand, 2 cranes flew out. Break through the sky. The next moment, the cold light of Fang Tian's halberd flashed through the sky. Thunderbolt, roar. The sound of the bull demon like thunder also sounded at the same time. Suddenly, a touch of white drifted by, and there was goose feather snow in the sky. Gongsunli's voice sounded, and his tone was very flat, as if a woman was telling something that was not worth caring about. It just fits in with the cold and solemn feeling she gives people. The sky and the earth are white, like a clear sense of the stars. Although the frost and snow are cold, they also want to add a touch of warmth to the world. A white crane fell in the sky, and the snow on the ground was an inch thick. Suddenly, like a night, the spring breeze is coming. The 2 white cranes around Gongsun walk slowly along the core of the ark as if they had their own consciousness. The Tao is ruthless but affectionate. The trickle of rain eventually converges into a mighty long wave. Good rain, know the season. A stream of cyan water followed the 2 white cranes towards the core of the ark. Soaring down for 9 days. The next moment, the Fang Tian painting halberd in Lu Buletin's hand seemed to be shattered into all the injustices between heaven and earth. No one is immune. Thunder travels thousands of miles, never looking back. Thunder. Hills, collapse. The whole sky, in an instant, was lightning and thunder. I saw 2 white cranes at the head, followed by a cyan stream of water, followed by a tangible wind and a white lightning. Hurried towards the core of the ark. And Gongsunli's voice pierced the sky again at this time. Only this time, her voice was a little more decisive. Defend the evil and sweep away the charm. At this time, Zhujiang and the 3 also followed. The elephant is here. Hum. The core of the ark also seemed to be guided at this time, and flew towards the white crane tremblingly. The next moment, the 2 sides collided together. The pattern on it suddenly erupted with a strong light. All the dooms are gone, and all things are renewed. In the bright light, the gap in the core of the ark shrank at a speed visible to the naked eye. Ah! H. Nuwa's voice came from it. Only this time, but it doesn't have that kind of world-class momentum. It sounds a little sad. Original. New historical. No more. There I am. Smack. The next moment, the core of the ark closed completely and fell to the ground. National Games Online game, transform into Gongsunli at the beginning. Author, show your secrets. Chapter 212. The original spotless core of the ark was also stained with dirt. But no one paid attention at this time. Instead, he focused all his attention on Gongsunli and Zhujiang. Undoubtedly, at this last moment, these are the most popular. Gongsunli bore the brunt of the crowd and became the focus of attention. Not to mention that the heroes were surprised, the audience in the live broadcast room didn't know what to say at this time. Gongsunli, no matter what aspect, has exceeded everyone's expectations. Whether it is these heroes in the second home or ordinary people on the Blue Star, deep down in their hearts, they dare not underestimate Gongsunli. Okay, what's the matter, let's go out and talk about it. At this time, Ying Zheng slowly spoke and glanced at the direction of the gate. Here, they have been imprisoned for tens of thousands of years, and this time they are going out, and even he has a feeling of unreality. Hearing Ying Zheng's words, all the heroes had no opinion. Although they are all anxious to thank Gongsunli, it is obviously not a good place at the moment. After all, this space doesn't know when it's going to close, and I really don't want to stay here anymore. So they turned around and prepared to walk in the direction of the gate. Wait a minute. Suddenly, a fluttering voice came. Then, I saw a girl dressed in a light veil stepping into the void. The girl also had a white rabbit in her arms. This is exactly Chang'e. Chang'e bent down to pick up the core of the ark that fell to the ground, looked up at Gongsunli and said, "Miss Gongsun, can you put this ark core on the Tower of the Sun?" Gongsunli glanced at the dilapidated Tower of the Sun and nodded slowly. This ark core is useless, it is the same everywhere, and it is indeed better to put it on the Tower of the Sun than to still be in the dirt. So Chang'e flew towards the Tower of the Sun with the core of the ark, and placed the core of the ark on the ruins of the Tower of the Sun. At the beginning, Nuwa created the world, and it was from the establishment of the first Tower of the Sun that the world began to prosper. Now, the last Tower of the Sun has fallen and Nuwa has been sealed, which is a good place for Nuwa. Put the core of the ark away, and Chang'e flew away without looking back. She had been imprisoned under the Tower of the Sun for tens of thousands of years, and she had long been here. Thank you, Miss Gongsun, for saving me. A moment later, outside the gate, hundreds of heroes stood in front of Gongsunli and bowed their heads, including Wu Zaishan and Ying Zheng. By this time the gate had been closed, and it had taken the form of a wall again. And the core of the ark was also left inside. From the outside, it is impossible to open the door out. Gongsunli looked at the familiar and unfamiliar figure in front of him, and his heart was full of feelings. In her previous life, these were all kinds of heroes she was familiar with, and every day she had to hold them in the canyon for several rounds. But now, just standing in front of her alive. The most important thing is that her current strength is about the same as these heroes. At the very least, she is now in the ranks of the top powerhouses. In the live broadcast room, the audience of Blue Star also had a lot of thoughts when they saw this scene. These godlike characters will live in a second home in the future. Doesn't that mean that when the world passage opens, we may encounter them? Oh my God, what are we going to do in that case? They are the ones who even Nuwa would dare to beat. This Gongsunli seems to be the same kind of person as them. A type of person? No, far more than that. It is not difficult to see now that Gongsunli left there before the change in the second home. Maybe Gongsunli came to Blue Star 10,000 years ago in that world, but the world flow rate of the two worlds may be different. Shall we? What is the future of our Blue Star people? Where? Originally, I didn't have the resources. I thought we would all perish in the Blue Star, but now it seems that we are going to live with these people in the second home. At this time, not only Xiaoguo's live broadcast room, but all the live broadcast rooms of Blue Star exploded. Originally, everyone thought that this second home would be a way for them to live, although it was difficult, but everyone was the same starting point. But now, a grandson is leaving, and such a big thing is involved. Moreover, in addition to Gongsunli, until now, the pioneers of some countries have been kicked out because they have not been able to occupy the city for a long time. The gap is visible at a glance. Gongsun was too far away from throwing them away. So they all started to get scared. Because of the strength shown by these heroes. Let them not dare to have the mind of confrontation at all, and besides, each of them knows that in front of these people, it does not matter at all whether your country is strong or not, and it can be destroyed at will. Even, Gongsunli, who has always been very popular in the hearts of the people of Xia Kingdom, feels a little far away at this moment. But the second home is as if it knows what these people are worried about. The more you are afraid of something, the more you will come. Ding. Detected a mutation in the second home, meeting the requirements for the opening of the World Channel. World Notice. As soon as the sentence came out, the whole world fell silent. It's been a long time since the world announcement sounded, but no one expected that this time, it would be directly the news of the Open World channel. Even Gongsunli was stunned. And those heroes, they don't seem to hear this voice, but they can feel that the world is changing. At this time, they all looked up at the sky, but unfortunately, they couldn't see anything. The strength of the link between the second home and the blue star has reached the qualification. In 3 days, the passage of the world between the two sides will be unblocked. Countdown, 2 days, 23 hours, 59 minutes. After the countdown to the world proclamation was issued, there was no sound. Suddenly, the world was boiling. Groove, groove, groove. 3 days, unblocked passage. Where did the passage open? Can we come back when we go? No, my main concern is whether they will come back, and will the natives of the second home come to Blue Star? It's over. I hope these pioneers don't come back, and I won't go to that second home. The law can't restrain them anymore. The world is in a panic. It's just that they don't know that these pioneers don't want to go back at all, because the pioneers who can stay until now have more or less their own industries and strength. And it's already quite enjoyable to live here, and there is no law to control yourself, so it's hard to fight hard. Let me go back. Gongsunli also smiled and nodded at this time. The world of the two sides is unblocked. To put it bluntly, the impact on her is not big. At least she's the same everywhere she goes. And she also has so many fiefdoms here. Xiaoguo will definitely need her own help at that time, and she is not worried about anything going wrong at all. It's just that she glanced at these heroes in front of her, and couldn't help but feel a little nerve-wracked. These people are not good men and women, they have to settle down. AHH. Suddenly, there was an exclamation from the crowd. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. National Games online game, transform into Gongsunli at the beginning. Author, show your secrets. Chapter 213. The old master looked around with a cane in his hand, and he found that the environment here was somewhat familiar. Here. The old master looked at Motsi, and there was a bit of excitement and incredulity in his tone. This is Kinoshita Academy. The old master's face was full of excitement, and the academy was the hard work of the 3 sages, and the 3 of them were naturally excited at this time. At the same time, he also looked at Gongsunli. Although they had already recognized it, they still couldn't believe it, and they needed Gongsunli's confirmation. Gongsunli smiled and nodded. However, although this is Jixia Academy, it is indeed the highest university in the mainland established by the 3 sages. But now, it has nothing to do with the 3 of them, just now. Here, it already belongs to Gongsunli. After the world announcement announced that the world passage between the two sides was unblocked 3 days later, it was announced that this place belonged to Gongsunli. Okay, let's go out first, go to the square and say, here, it's too crowded. Gongsunli looked at the heroes and said lightly. The heroes had no choice but to agree. It's been 10,000 years, they've been out of here for tens of thousands of years. It's been too long, and I don't know much about this continent anymore. What's more, Gongsunli saved all of them, so they wouldn't refute Gongsunli's words. So they walked towards the outside of the hall. Sister Ali, should I go out with Master? Yao turned her head and asked that she had already made a contract with Gongsunli before she could regain her memory. To put it bluntly, now Yao is Gongsunli's person. So I still have to tell Gongsunli where to go. She and Gigutsi haven't seen each other for so many years, so Gongsunli naturally nodded and agreed. Gigutsi also thanked him and walked towards the door with Yao. Soon, only Gongsunli and another figure remained in the entire hall. Ali. Li Xian looked at Gongsunli, and his voice was a little low. Tens of thousands of years have passed, and although he and Gongsunli have met twice before, and even fought side by side, because of Nuwa's existence, he has never considered his future. But now, Nuwa is gone, and everything has settled. When he saw Ali again, his mood was chaotic. Li Xian's body still bears the wounds left by the battle just now. Gongsunli frowned imperceptibly. Let's go. Without saying anything, Gongsunli walked directly outside. Only Li Xian was left with a back. Li Xian's expression was a little lonely. I don't know why, he feels that Gongsunli in front of him seems to have become a little strange. But he could only shake his head and follow behind Gongsunli. The square of Jixia College is bustling with activity at this time. Ha ha ha, the #1 university in the world, I have been longing for it for a long time, but I haven't been here, but I didn't expect it to come today. Aha! You only know that this is the first school, but do you know that I am a first-day student of this school? Isn't the genius student under Ji Zhujiang? Yao was momentarily speechless, and 11 Shi, who was standing next to him, covered his mouth and giggled. I don't know what my hometown has become now. The air outside is beautiful, but why doesn't this academy look right? It looks like it's underground. It's not good, the energy fluctuations of the observatory seem to be very powerful, and it is still so strong after so many years. It's really the #1 university in the world, and now I know why the students who go out here are so good. Yang Zheng also went out of this school back then, right? Hey, when we go out, I'll take you to our Jinting Kingdom to have a look. King Lanling wore a green tights and said to Hua Mulan, who was walking beside him. Okay. Anyway, the Great Wall and Jinting Kingdom are not far away, and the Thousand Caves city is also there. Mulan's face rarely leaked a touch of tenderness. The other Great Wall guards followed behind King Lanling and Hua Mulan, and glanced at the two of them with narrow eyes. Immediately glanced at each other, and several people had expressions on their faces that everyone understood. Sonorous. It's just that Dungeon turned his head, although he had no expression, but his small eyes were full of big doubts. Then the big guy burst into laughter. What are you laughing at? Suddenly, Mulan's somewhat cold voice reached the ears of several people. Several people shivered instantly. No, Commander, you. Bailey Suan scratched his head and immediately wanted to prevaricate, but before he finished speaking, he covered his mouth in surprise. Unified. Commander, you look there. Mulan frowned. I'm telling you, don't try to fool. Suddenly, Mulan's voice also cut off. Then, the whole square was silent. Everyone stared intently at the scene on the edge of the square. His pain, pain, pain. Zixia, light. So many people are watching, save me some face, huh. My grandson assures you that I won't run away this time. I saw that on the edge of the square, 2 young men and women dressed in bright red were standing together. Zixia was dressed in a red wedding dress, and reached out to pull the ear of Sun Wukong, who was wearing the groom's official clothes. A look of anger. Sun Wukong grinned in pain at this time, but he didn't dare to resist, so he had to turn his head from time to time and leak an embarrassing smile at the heroes in the square. However, Zixia still grabbed his ears unrelentingly. Help! Suddenly, a coquettish and helpless shout came out of Sun Wukong's mouth. The square burst into laughter. It's just that this laughter has no meaning of ridicule, but is full of envy and blessings. Zixia's other hand tightened the sword in her hand, and finally put it down again. In the crowd, Xiaoqiao and Zhou Yu, who were carrying note-style guitars, glanced at each other, their faces full of sweetness. This scene made the audience in the live broadcast room, who was worried about the smooth passage of the two worlds, also feel a trace of warmth. Looks like these people don't have any intentions on us, right? The audience in the live broadcast room thought about it in their hearts, but when they thought of the strength of these people during the battle with Nuwa, I couldn't help but start to tremble again. At this moment, Gongsunli also walked over. In the square, silence returned in an instant. Click. Li Xian held a heavy sword and walked behind Gongsunli. Seeing these two people, a complicated expression appeared on the faces of the heroes in the square. Especially Wu Zetian in the crowd and those heroes in Chang'an City. They know about Gongsunli and Li Xian. But now it seems that things have changed. Ali seems to be unwilling to accept Li Xian. Chang Yi stood beside Ho Yi and said worriedly. Li Xian helped Ho Yi save her, and she naturally hoped that Li Xian would be well. Alas! Ho Yi sighed helplessly. Let's not meddle in such things. Hearing Ho Yi's words, Chang Yi nodded obediently. Then he set his eyes on Gongsunli. National Games online game, transform into Gongsunli at the beginning. Author, show your secrets. Chapter 214. Seeing Gongsun leaving, the heroes hurriedly stood up. They are all smart people, and they know that after not coming out for so long, the world has changed a lot. No matter how powerful he is, it's useless to know nothing about the information outside. What's more, who is Gongsunli? Although no one dared to mention it, everyone knew in their hearts that this was a tough Wu Zetian and a figure who occupied Chang'an City. At the beginning, Wu Zetian spent a lot of energy and passed the word out, but in the end, it still didn't help. Moreover, Gongsunli is still the new so-called modern god, and he is the life-saving benefactor of the big guy. No matter which way you look at it, you can't afford to mess with it. Gongsunli stood in front of the heroes, and his heart was also entangled, not knowing what to do. But obviously, these heroes are quite obedient. Just when Gongsunli didn't know how to speak, Wu Zetian suddenly walked out of the crowd. Seeing this scene, the faces of the others suddenly changed. My mother-in-law just finished fighting, and I'm going to rob Chang'an City again. Many people thought that Wu Zetian was for their own Chang'an City, and their eyes couldn't help but change a little when they looked at her. Even if you really want Chang'an, you can't come out now, someone just saved you. The heroes were about to move and wanted to step forward to stop Wu Zetian, but they didn't expect Wu Zetian to speak. Ali, tell us about the current situation in the world. Wu Zetian's gaze at Gongsunli was a little complicated. Chang'an City is her hard work, but Gongsunli is everyone's benefactor, so she naturally can't do what that grace will take revenge. It's just that she doesn't know what to do now, so she can only learn about the current situation from Gongsunli's side first. Wu Zetian straightened his face and continued. We all felt it just now, the world seems to have changed dramatically. Why is that? It seems that outside of our world, there is a new world. Hearing this, seeing that Wu Zetian had no intention of attacking Gongsunli, the other heroes also came back to their senses and looked at Gongsunli, obviously very curious. Gongsunli's smile leaked from the corner of his mouth. After the announcement of the world just now, the world began to change, and she knew that it was the change caused by the passage link between the two worlds. Gongsunli thought about it, he really had to tell them, otherwise when the Blue Star people came, wouldn't it be easy to have an accident? He was about to speak, but was interrupted by a voice. Sister Ali, wait a minute. The next moment, I saw Ya running up barefoot. It's just that she is still pulling a girl who is also barefoot. Gongsunli looked at the girl with a stunned expression. Cai Wenji. With just one glance, Gongsunli recognized the identity of the girl. Because it's so recognizable. That is shorter than Yao, but there is a rope tied around his waist, and at the other end of the rope, a handful of mustaches are tied, but what is surprising is, the mustache was floating in the air, as if it had no weight. Cai Wenji was wearing a white dress, she looked very kawaii, and she looked like an elf. At this time, he was staring at Gongsunli with big eyes. Sister Ali, Nanan, isn't Nan Nan seriously injured? Yao looked at Gongsunli's right arm, and a trace of distress flashed in his eyes. Nan Nan saved her in a moment of crisis, but she still remembers, and now it is on Gongsunli's arm. Thinking of Nanan's little face, Yao didn't feel good in her heart. This kind of big scene, how can there be less people who like to be lively? Gongsunli was also stunned when she heard Yao's words. She originally planned to drink the spring of life for Nan Nan after she went back, but now it seems that there is another way. Miss Gongsun, is anyone hurt? Then we are not in a hurry, you are busy first, we have been trapped for tens of thousands of years, and we don't care about this time. Yes, yes, the most important thing is to treat first. When the heroes heard Yao's words, they immediately echoed it. No. Suddenly, Cai Wenji took a step forward, but she seemed to be a little shy. After saying just one word, his face turned red. It's just that she suddenly saw the handsome and dashing figure in the crowd, and she suddenly mustered up her courage. Everybody. Sit down, everybody. Everyone was injured just now, I can treat you. Cai Wenji mustered up the courage to finish speaking in one breath, and then her eyes quietly looked at a certain position in the crowd. Gongsunli glanced there, and immediately saw Lan standing there expressionlessly. Gong. Sister Gongsun. Cai Wenji looked at Gongsunli and shouted timidly. Gongsunli smiled and said. Then I'm bothering you. Let's all sit down, we just happen to be treated together. Hearing Gongsunli's words, the crowd suddenly became a little commotion. Indeed, I was more or less injured just now, and now I have treatment, of course, I choose treatment. Thank you, Miss Wenji. Ha ha ha, then I'll also try what it feels like. After all, Miss Wenji's reputation resounded throughout the entire third place 10,000 years ago. I've heard about Miss Wenji's skills in Swaniangdu. Thank you. After a few moments, everyone sat down. Gongsunli raised his right arm. Nan Nan had fallen into a deep sleep at this time, and she could only pull her out by herself. Immediately, Gongsunli also sat on the ground, the golden light flashed in his arms, and the next moment Nanan's small body appeared in Gongsunli's arms. At this time, Nanan's eyes were closed, and her little face was still so cute, but compared to before, her face was very pale, and she was almost breathless at this time. Gongsunli, who watched it, felt distressed again. Zheng. The next moment, Hu Ji's voice sounded. The originally grey and dreary world suddenly became a little greener and a little more vibrant. In the whole square, the atmosphere of this moment suddenly changed. I saw Cai Wenji waving her little hands, and Hu Ji made beautiful music. Even the audience in the live broadcast room closed their eyes comfortably for a while. Starlight soothes the soul, music heals the heart. Cai Wenji's milky voice came into everyone's ears. Comfortable as a spring breeze. Next, a miraculous scene appeared, those who were injured, the wounds were glowing white. It looks like it's going to heal. Gongsunli's arm seemed to move unconsciously. Psalms dedicated to life, immortal. The next moment, with Cai Wenji as the center, a circle of white waves fluctuated in all directions. Suddenly, a powerful breath of life spread. Even on the ground, which people can't see, those flowers and trees have grown a lot in an instant. The wounds on the heroes are healing and recovering at a rate visible to the naked eye. Huh. Gongsun kicked his little short leg twice from the girl in his arms, and slowly opened his eyes. Sister Huang. She struggled to sit up, her face still a little pale. She has lost too much vitality, and even if Cai Wenji opens up, the treatment is still limited. The next moment, the heroes who had recovered from their injuries opened their eyes one after another. And the greenery that appeared quietly doesn't know when it has dissipated. Only Cai Wenji was left standing there panting alone. This kind of large-scale spell casting was not a small pressure for her. However, as long as she rests well, she can recover without causing any damage to her origins. National Games Online Game, transform into Gongsunli at the beginning. Author, show your secrets. Chapter 215. Imp. Suddenly, a cold male voice sounded. Lan strode towards Cai Wenji. Cai Wenji looked at Lan with a smile on her face. Miss Gongsun. Lan saluted Gongsunli, and then directly pulled Cai Wenji down. How are you feeling now? Gongsunli glanced at the girl who was sticking to him, and his face was full of distress. Sister Huang, I'm much better. Nanan's pale little face squeezed out a smile, and the audience in the live broadcast room who watched it also felt a little unbearable. Whoosh! Suddenly, a pink chain flew out of the group of heroes and wrapped itself around Nanan's body. Gongsun raised his eyebrows and looked at the other end of the chain. Ming Xian was standing there with a cold face. The chain shot out of the artifact behind him. Ming Xian saw Gongsunli and Nan Nan looking at him, and the cold expression on his face suddenly dissipated. Don't be afraid, it'll be fine soon. Ming Xian looked at Nan Nan and said softly. Gongsunli frowned unconsciously. This Ming Xian, who has always been cold, why is it so weird now? And in the backstory, he is his subordinate. It's just that the pink chain has burst into a strong light. Row is that she can't figure it out, but as long as she can help Nanan, it's fine. Thinking of this, Gongsunli also put his mind at ease for the time being. Baby, let go and accept this energy. Gongsunli touched Nanan's head. Sister Huang, this energy is so familiar. Nanan's eyes widened. The originally pale cheeks turned a hint of pink at this moment. Yes, this is Yaotian's technique, and this is what the old man of Suanjiza learned. Gongsunli saw that Nanan's face gradually improved, and he couldn't help but feel a little happy in his heart. He explained with a smile. It's just that this explanation, except for Ming Xian, who only frowned slightly, exploded in the live broadcast room. That mystery, the strength of divination at the beginning, was witnessed by someone who was 10 times 10. It can be said that it is quite awesome. Although Xianjitsi has said more than once that he has only learned the surface, it does not prevent the metaphysical masters of the Xia kingdom and the prophets of Western countries from yearning for it. Now, with the real Yaotian technique appearing, how can people not be surprised? Yaotian's technique. Can it also be treated? I've got a big grass. See that this healing effect is even better than that little girl who knows magic just now. Yaotian's technique is really more than just divination. In the official live broadcast room, several old men surrounded the screen. How could they look like experts at this time? You said that when the world passage is unblocked, will we have a chance to learn this Yaotian technique? Many people began to move and think carefully. The pink chain dissipated, Nanan's face was a little better. Ming Xian glanced at Gongsunli with a complicated expression, and then sat down again. Come with me. At this time, Yao took Nanan's little hand. Let's go down, don't disturb Sister Ali here. Nan Nan glanced back at Gongsunli, and after seeing Gongsunli nodding, he followed Yao towards the heroes. Hey, little sister, are you called Nanan? Seeing Nanan, the heroes instantly became lively. Especially Yao's talker. The first one jumped up and startled. It's just that Nan Nan obviously doesn't buy his account much. You're so stupid. Nan Nan frowned, and said such a sentence for a long time. The enthusiasm on Yao's face instantly froze. Aha! I can't laugh anymore. Is this the genius student of the Jixia Academy? Soon the crowd erupted in laughter. Only, it soon became quiet again. Nan Nan also climbed onto Dabai's back at Agudo's invitation. Then let's trouble Miss Gongsun to explain to us the current situation outside. The old master touched his grey beard and said with a smile. Gongsunli nodded and said slowly. Now, as far as I know, Thousand Cave City, Suanwei Forest, the Great Wall, Chang'an City, and Jixia Academy. Gongsunli was talking above, and the heroes were listening attentively below. And the audience in the live broadcast room also pricked up their ears at this time. They already knew the secrets of Gongsunli, and they knew that she knew more about the second home. At this time, they were all trying to write down what Gongsunli said. When the world passage is opened, this is their piece of information. Half an hour later, the square of the academy was quiet. Gongsunli also stopped talking. The expressions on the faces of the heroes were different, and they already knew the current situation in the world from Gongsunli's mouth. Gongsun couldn't help but feel a little thirsty after talking for so long, so he took out the monkey wine and drank it. She hadn't drunk this monkey wine in a long time. Gudong. After swallowing it, Gongsunli only felt that it was enjoyable, and he couldn't help but want to smack, but there were so many people here who couldn't help it. In the audience, those heroes finally came back to their senses. In this way, there is a high probability that the land of 3 points and Xianyang no longer exist. In the crowd, the faces of the heroes of the 5 tiger generals and the big and small Chiao sisters leaked a little bitterness. Although there are several opponents, tens of thousands of years have passed, and the original grievances have long since disappeared, but now I can't even go back to my hometown. On the other side, King Lanling also stared blankly. Jin Tingguo, doesn't it exist? King Lanling said dumbfoundedly. Suddenly, he felt his hand being held by another neater. When he looked up, he found that Mulan was looking at him worriedly. At the same time, a similar scene played out on the faces of various heroes. The Sunset Sea is gone. Is the Dongfeng Sea still there? Miss Gongsun just said that she was not sure. Then where do we go from here? By the way, didn't Miss Gongsun just say that the passage of the new world is open, and the humans of the other world are going to enter the continent? What is the strength of the human race in that world, and will it affect us? No. I don't know. The heroes were a little negative for a while, especially when Gongsunli told them about the imminent opening of the world passage just now. When they first came out, they were a little insecure, and now they heard that there were humans from another world coming, and of course their first reaction was rejection. It's just that now they are very confused and don't know what they should do. As everyone knows, this scene can scare the people on the Blue Star. I'll go, these people aren't trying to deal with us, are they? Didn't we gather our troops? Do you really think the army is useful? Don't be stupid, Nuwa is not their opponent. Hurry, please leave Gongsunli, this. It's over. It's not to blame them, after all, if you know that there are humans from another world coming to Blue Star, I'm afraid there will be hostility. In the live broadcast room, people began to tremble again. Ali. Suddenly, Wu Zaishan's voice came out, and the heroes quieted down. Why don't you tell us more about that other world, or give us some advice? When Gongsunli heard Wu Zaishan's words, the corners of his mouth suddenly hooked. She was worried that there was no reason to speak. And those heroes also looked at Gongsunli like a life-saving straw at this time. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. National Games online game, transform into Gongsunli at the beginning. Author, show your secrets. Chapter 216. Well, I'll talk about the other world. Gongsunli combed the braids behind him. With a hint of memory on his face. The humans of that world are different from us, they are mortals. Gongsunli's explanation of 1510. Her purpose is not to let these heroes attack the people who come from the Blue Star when the time comes. She also knows that the live broadcast room is watching now. As for whether there will be a country that does not have long eyes in the blue star at that time, if it gets into trouble, it will be none of her business. Because the resources of that world are exhausted, I have no choice but to come here to survive. In just a few minutes, Gongsunli told the situation of Langxing clearly. The heroes nodded silently. If it is really like what Gongsunli said, then the arrival of these people will not have any impact on them at all. Anyway, no matter how many people you have, you can't make any waves. After all, this world is so big. I'm afraid that with the strength of ordinary people's feet, they may not be able to go far in a lifetime. Thinking of this, their hostility towards Blue Star suddenly wasn't so great. Because the situation of Blue Star is somewhat similar to that of them 10,000 years ago, that is, energy depletion. Thinking of this, I still feel a little empathy. As long as they don't provoke me, I won't make a move on them. If they provoke me, then Sun Wukong waved his stick directly and said casually, as if talking about a trivial matter, now your most important concern is your own problems. Suddenly, Gongsun left his mouth and looked at the hero below with a playful expression. You must know that the few remaining regions of the King continent now, except for the Great Wall, are all hers. And the Great Wall, at the beginning, was also because the dragon Qi was too strong, so it failed to succeed. As soon as Gongsunli's words came out, the heroes suddenly frowned. Only then did they realize that they were homeless. I remember. Suddenly, Wu Zetian spoke, habitually calling herself me, but soon, she changed back. Now she, the commander of the light pole, in her opinion, calling herself me will only make people laugh. I remember you just said that the current Chang'an city, the Great Wall, and this Jixia Academy are all underground, right? Gongsunli nodded. It's understandable. As for whether it was underground, she really wasn't sure, because it was more like a small space, but this small space was under the ground. But I can make them all reappear in the world. Gongsunli said and took out 2 tokens. One is from Chang'an City, and the other is from this Jixia Academy. After the last occupation of Chang'an City, there was another opportunity to transform and move that was not used. Plus the current Kinoshita Academy. Gongsunli now took out the 2 tokens. Naturally, she already had an idea. And the other heroes all looked at Gongsunli in a daze. Especially the 3 sages and Wu Zetian. These are their inheritance. At this time, Gongsun left his body unconsciously. She was worried that Wu Zetian and the 3 sages would suddenly attack, although she believed in the character of a few people very much, but now in this situation, no one dared to be careless. Li Xian in the crowd also silently lifted the heavy sword in his hand, for fear that there would be a riot. The atmosphere in the square suddenly became tense. Alas! Wu Zetian sighed deeply, sounding like he was weak. Even the blueprint of the universe on his clothes dimmed a little. That's it, I gave up. You saved me. I don't know how to repay yet. I'm snatching it. It's too bad. Hearing Wu Zetian's words, all the heroes breathed a sigh of relief. They were afraid that Wu Zetian would go to war. Then they will not watch their saviors suffer. However, fighting with Wu Zetian is indeed very stressful. Now that Wu Zetian said to give up, even they felt a little incredible. Your Majesty. De Renja stood behind Wu Zetian and shouted silently. Even if he was a person who knew right from wrong, he couldn't say anything about this matter. Well, let's all listen to your arrangement. Wu Zetian glanced at Gongsunli, and then swept his gaze to the other heroes. We are not familiar with this world, so let us go out and make trouble by ourselves. It is better to follow Gongsunli. I think, she just rescued us, and she won't harm us. What do you think? Wu Zetian regained his momentum at this time, and there was an invisible deterrence towards other heroes. Wu Zetian, is this helping Ali manage these heroes? In the official live broadcast room, a group of old guys who have played with power tricks all their lives can see Wu Zetian's purpose at a glance. Of course, Gongsunli also saw it at this time. I can't help but feel that this Wu Zetian is not bad. The widow's representative Xianyang agreed. At this time, Yang Zheng walked out. Similarly, his body was shining with golden light, and an imperial aura emanated. People, don't go unruly for a day. Yang Zheng looked at the heroes and said. It's been tens of thousands of years, 10,000 years ago we have been fighting for countless years, and 10,000 years later, I believe everyone is tired. Miss Gong soon rescued us. I think, it's not for us to continue to fight, not to mention, we are not familiar with the world, it is better to take refuge under the command of Miss Gongsun and be a chic idle cloud and wild crane. It's better than making the continent a mess again. What do you think? After Yang Zheng finished speaking, he stood with Wu Zetian and looked at the heroes below. The two of them are considered ceilings in terms of power alone. A former lord of Chang'an City and a lord of Xianyang, both of whom are subordinate soldiers. The prestige is high. Smack! A low footstep sounded, and a handsome man walked out with a huge scythe in his hand. Great goodness! Bai Qi is willing to follow the king and return to the princess. This time, it was as if a switch had been turned on. Anyway, I don't have a place to go, I'll follow Miss Gongsun in the future. I don't know how to repay this life-saving grace, I hope I can do something for the grandson girl in the future. Yes, how can we be the ungrateful people, and in the future, my life will belong to the Gongsun girl. I also hope that Miss Gongsun will not dislike me for having a lot of food in the future. Ha ha ha. You old rammer, are you afraid that the Gongsun girl can't support you? The heroes spoke one after another. After a long time, Yang Zheng turned his head to look at Gongsunli. That Gongsun girl, in the future, I will trouble you more. At this point, all the heroes are in their hearts. National Games online game, transform into Gongsunli at the beginning. Author, show your secrets. Chapter 217. Gongsunli looked at the heroes who expressed their positions one by one in front of him, and finally breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. Immediately, it was joy, very joy. It's just not shown on the face. Who are these people? These are amazing people. The hero of the king, think about those bells and whistles skills and those abilities against the sky. Now it's just for yourself? So, how could she not be happy? However, she also knows that these heroes are to give her face, and at the same time, they are all arrogant, and of course she doesn't really expect herself to say one in front of them. Even if she really wanted to, she couldn't say it. Immediately, Gongsunli also arched his hand towards the hero below. Gongsun is here, thank you for your cooperation. I've done my best to preserve the buildings that were left over from 10,000 years ago, so I don't think it's a problem to take care of everyone's lives. Hearing Gongsunli's words, the heroes were a little ready to move. Has been trapped for tens of thousands of years, and now that he has come out, he has promised to return to Gongsun and left, so the next thing must be to go to the outside world to see. Gongsunli obviously saw it, but it wasn't time yet. Everyone, don't be impatient. At the moment, we have two things to do. The first thing is to let Chang'an City and Jixia Academy see the light of day again. As soon as Gongsunli's words came out, the heroes immediately looked at each other. Yes. Let's get these two places out first, or it wouldn't be like that all the time underground. What do you need us to do, Miss Gongsun? Just ask. That's right, let's talk about it, how to do it? Gongsunli smiled and continued. There's no rush for this, I'm enough for one person, but I need a few people to study the location. Gongsunli took out a map directly from the ring. This map was made by her asking someone to draw the Bao map. There is only the area from Kiyeo City to the Suanwei Deep Forest. Then, Gongsunli directly handed over the map to the old master and a few people. I think that as an institution, Jixia College does not need to consider the problem of transportation, and it is most suitable to be placed directly in the Suanwei Forest. What do you think? Gongsunli looked at the three sages and Gigutsi and spoke. In Gongsunli's opinion, the best place to go to Jixia Academy 3 is Suanwei Forest. Since the arrival of the first pioneer, there have been few people in the Suanwei Forest, and until now, there are no outsiders in the entire Suanwei Forest except for herself and the giant crocodile. And if the grass is placed there, there is no need to worry about the safety of the ancient tree of life in the future. What's more, Jixia was originally a holy place, so the status was even more prominent, and in that way, no matter how open the world channel would be in the future. No matter what the world has developed, the Suanwei Forest is a fortress-like existence. There is Jixia College on the top, and Vyang Palace on the bottom. Such a location, it's just so cool. For it. The old master and Motzi glanced at each other and couldn't say a word for a long time. Because they don't know what's going on there. We don't have an opinion, we just don't know, Mr. Gigutsi. Listen to Miss Gongsun. Gigutsi said directly. Good. Gongsunli nodded, stretched out his hand, and a blue light curtain appeared in front of her. Everyone, stand still. Gongsunli stretched out his finger and tapped twice on the light curtain. Hum. A sound of spatial vibration rang out. The entire Jixia Academy suddenly shook. I'll go. Hey, is the academy moving? What kind of power is this? This kind of majestic power is truly unprecedented. Transferring the entire academy with you. The square of Jixia Academy, with the vibration of Jixia, suddenly became lively. Those heroes didn't understand why Gongsunli let him stand well, but now they can be regarded as understanding. It scared them a lot. This made the audience in the live broadcast room very happy. Ha ha ha, these people didn't even know that Gongsun had left the plug-in. It scared them, and the eyes of Gongsunli were different. Ha ha ha, I'm scared if it were me. Suddenly it felt like they weren't so scary. Thousands of miles away, Suanwei Forest. On the Suanwei Mountains, which have been quiet, today, suddenly became a little different. The Suanwei Temple is located on one side of the Suanwei mountain range, and on the other side of the mountain range, there is a large open space. But now, in that clearing, a tall phantom appeared. This phantom looks like a building. It's slowly condensing, and it looks very wonderful. The ancient tree of life in the Suanwei temple also seemed to feel something, and writhed twice. Boom! The next moment, there was a loud bang. The towering Suanwei mountain range actually shook a little, as if it had sunk a little. At this point, the original phantom has become a physical entity. God, it's dawn. It's dawn, we're coming out of the ground. It's the Suanwei forest. Out, coming out. In the square of the academy, the heroes looked at the sun hanging overhead with shocked faces. It's been tens of thousands of years, and I haven't seen the sun for tens of thousands of years. Ladies and gentlemen, next, is Chang'an City. Suddenly, Gongsunli's voice shattered the hero's reverie. Before I do that, though, I need to say a second thing, which is the opening of the world channel between the two sides in 3 days. The expression on Gongsunli's face became a little solemn. Don't worry, Miss Gongsun, we won't cause trouble. Yes, we won't go back on what we promised. The heroes immediately expressed their attitudes, and finally came out, don't send them in again. Nope. Who knew that Gongsunli did shake his head. I naturally understand your conduct, and I'm not worried that you will cause trouble, but I am worried that other people in this world will cause trouble. Also, none of us know where the world portal will open. And whether it is, will the humans of that world mess around? Gongsunli's tone was a little cold, and the people in the live broadcast room suddenly felt that something was wrong. How could it sound like they were going to deal with them? It's not easy. As soon as Gongsunli's words fell, a rough voice rang out. Give me some elite soldiers, and as soon as the world channel opens, I'll guard it. If you don't know what's interesting, Chen Yanjin shook the axe in his hand with a fierce face, and the audience in the live broadcast room was terrified. Hey, I've got to be the one for this kind of thing. Lian Po thumped his two fists in his chest and walked out of the crowd. And me, let me go too. Leave this kind of thing to us. Where is the need for Miss Gongsun to worry about it? Gongsunli's eyebrows raised. How could she forget about it? These heroes have a lot of strength now, and they have just come out, and they are very curious about the world. Of course they can't sit still. If this is sent to guard the world passage, wouldn't it kill two birds with one stone? Looking at the heroes who were eager to try in front of him, Gongsunli gradually had a plan. In that case, don't worry, I'll go and move Chang'an City over first. When everything is done, we will discuss it in detail. Gongsunli said and took out the teleportation array. She had to set up a teleportation array in Jixia Academy, and then teleport directly to Chang'an City. It's just that she's not in a hurry here, but Langxing is in a hurry. What does she mean? She wants to master the world passage. Damn. Domineering. This is too domineering. Do you Xia Kingdom want to monopolize? This grandson is too black-hearted. What does that mean? You have to give us an explanation. In the real world, except for Xiaguo, people from other countries are in a hurry. And Gongsunli has already set up a teleportation array and is ready to go to Chang'an City. I'm with you. Wu Zetian followed Gongsunli and walked up to the teleportation array together. Gongsunli smiled slightly, but it was just a waste of some magic crystals. Anyone else who wants to come with him, come in. Other heroes who were already living in Chang'an City heard Gongsunli's words, and immediately stood on the teleportation array. That's right. Suddenly, Gongsunli seemed to remember something. Talking about his sleeve, the girl on his right arm leaked out. Nanan, you go back to recuperate. Suddenly, Nan directly turned into a golden light and entered the Suanwei temple opposite, soaking in the spring of life. Sister Ali, I'll stay here and take them to get acquainted with the Suanwei forest. Yao also stood up at this time, and there were many heroes who stayed here. It's not okay to run around. Gongsunli nodded, and then turned on the teleportation. National Games online game, transform into Gongsunli at the beginning. Author, show your secrets. Chapter 218. Let's take a walk and take a look. The best cloth, the specialty of Qiyao City. Hey, look at my tea. Come on, hot barbecue, giant crocodile's favorite barbecue, are you sure you want to try it? Rock sugar gourd. Sweet. Little girl, let's try a bunch. The Thousand Cave City is crowded with traders and tourists at this time. These people are all from Qiyao City and Baiyun City. Thousand Cave City, by now, has become a city that is not inferior to the 7 main cities. Its prosperity is probably not as good as that of the main cities that are at the bottom of the rankings. The reason for this is naturally because there are 2 big cities, Qiyao City and Baiyun City, to help it develop. And there is no better business in the city than the sale of literary supplies, because many people have found the city to be extremely helpful to scholars. At this time, the city is still as lively as ever. As the only steward in the city, Xianjitzi is now inspecting the city walls. This is something he has been fond of lately, because the Thousand Cave City is surrounded by endless grasslands, which looks very spectacular. It's heartwarming. Boom. Suddenly, there was a loud bang. The entire Thousand Cave City seemed to shake. What's going on? What's going on? Quick, make way for Lord Crocodile. Lord Crocodile is going out to check on the situation. Quick, get out of the way. The violent noise directly alarmed everyone in the city, even the giant crocodile, who rushed out of the city gate directly from the main road. And Xianjitsi on the city wall, looking at the grassland in the distance at this time, his pupils were full of shock. God! Miracles! Suanjaizi muttered in his mouth. In the depths of the grassland, the outline of a super city can be faintly seen. Why is it called a super city? Because Suanjaizi can swear that he has never seen such a huge city. The length of that wall alone is not known to be several times longer than the largest city wall in the whole continent. This is Chang'an City. At this time, Gongsunli stayed in the palace with a group of heroes. Wu Zetian looked at the palace where he once lived and sighed deeply. You're really amazing. Wu Zetian glanced at Gongsunli. The teleportation array of Chang'an City is in Suzaku Square. When they came just now, they saw the current situation of Chang'an City, a city, and there were 150,000 elite soldiers guarding it alone. This is enough to show Gongsunli's strong strength, because even during Wu Zetian's reign, the permanent strength in Chang'an was only about 80,000. It's just that Wu Zetian doesn't know that this is all rewarded. If Gongsun leaves him, I'm afraid Chang'an City is still an empty city. So far, Chang'an City has appeared. Gongsunli also has a blueprint for Chang'an City in his heart, but it still needs time to develop. At the very least, Chang'an City should have security in place before facing the world. It's just 150,000 guards, and it looks too bloated. What advanced weapons such as magic crystal cannons should be put on the table in order to live up to the prestige of Chang'an? Thinking of this, Gongsunli clapped his hands. All right, let's go, it's close to Thousand Cave City. Let's go to Thousand Cave City first. I'll arrange the future plans of Chang'an City, and then go to Suanwei Forest to discuss what to do with the Great Wall and the World Passage. Gongsunli said as he spoke, feeling a little bitter in his heart. She suddenly realized that she didn't know when she had so many things. However, in order to welcome the opening of the World Channel, she can't stop for a moment. After all, if she doesn't manage well, she will suffer a loss. She knows the inferiority of the group of humans in Blue Star. With such a big Chang'an City here, she didn't believe that no one would not think carefully. In order to do it once and for all, everything can only be arranged in place at once before they arrive. Let's go. Saying that, Gongsunli took the lead directly and flew in the direction of Thousand Cave City. Wu Zetian and other heroes followed. Thousand Cave City. On the city wall, Xianjitsi and a group of guards suddenly looked at a few small black spots in the sky as if they were facing a great enemy. Under the city walls, the giant crocodile flicked its tail uneasily. It sensed that none of the people who were flying towards the side in the distance were easy to deal with. It's just that it suddenly feels that the leader is a little familiar. In the sky, Jiuluo followed behind Gongsunli, looking at the Thousand Cave City that was getting closer and closer to him, looking excited. She could even see the muzzles of the guns on the walls facing her. Don't be nervous, your own people. Gongsunli's voice suddenly sounded and entered the Thousand Cave City. This voice is so familiar. The lord of the city, my lord. Xianjitsi was stunned for a moment, and quickly wiped his eyes. When he saw clearly that the woman in charge was holding an umbrella in her hand, he immediately breathed a sigh of relief. Quick! Pull the cannon down. The lord of the city is back. Xianjitsi struck a stir. Just now he ordered the magic crystal cannon to be aimed at Gongsunli. The giant crocodile under the city wall also flicked its tail excitedly. The entire Thousand Cave City suddenly became lively. Smack! A moment later, Gongsunli led everyone directly to the city wall. Lord of the castle. Suanjaizu ran over directly excitedly. He had never seen Gongsunli like this, and he only felt that Gongsunli was becoming more and more like a god in the sky. Ming Xian, who had been standing in the crowd and had almost no sense of existence, suddenly frowned when he saw Suanjaizi. He can naturally see through the mystery at a glance. All right. Looking at the excited Suanjaizi, Gongsunli waved his hand. Prepare the magic crystal cannon for me, do you know how much you want? Gongsunli stretched out his hand and pointed to Chang'an city in the distance, indicating that it was for the city. Suanjaizi grew his mouth excitedly on the spot. I don't know what he was surprised about. When you're ready, put it in the square in the city, and you only have 2 days in the world. Everything else will wait until this time has passed. After Gongsunli finished speaking, he directly took the lead and jumped on the back of the giant crocodile. There are only 2 days left before the opening of the world passage. Little crocodile, go to the dwarves. Gongsunli ordered directly. Dwarf Jeff didn't know how many teleportation arrays he had done, but now, Thousand Cave City had to install one for her to communicate with the Suanwei forest. Hello Lord of the city. Lord Castle, are you back? Lord Castle, when are you going to go back to Kiyao City to have a look? The giant crocodile took Gongsunli and others to run on the main road, and the sounds of greeting Gongsunli on both sides of the street were endless. This couldn't help but make the other heroes look at her more. It seems that you are also a wise man. Wu Zaishan said lightly. Gongsunli didn't speak, just smiled. What kind of gentleman is she? There is a good saying, it all depends on the peers. It is precisely because those city lords were rich and unkind that she has the good reputation she has now. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. National Games online game, transform into Gongsunli at the beginning. Author, show your secrets. Chapter 219. Soon, under the full speed of the giant crocodile, several people arrived at the dwarven settlement. At this time, Jeff had already led several important people of the dwarven clan to wait at the intersection. Jeff looked normal at this time, not as sloppy as he had been a few months ago. Obviously, the recent days have been okay. Seeing Gongsunli's figure, Jeff immediately greeted him. Lord of the castle. Welcome to the Lord of the city. Jeff took the lead in saluting, and then set his eyes on the hero behind Gongsunli. He has lived for more than 100 years, and of course he can see at a glance that those people are not easy to provoke. Especially the woman who was the leader, the kingly aura on her body felt that it was not much better than that of Gongsunli. These are my friends. Gongsunli said lightly, now is not the time to introduce them. What's more, the characters from tens of thousands of years ago are a bit shocking to say, so it's better to wait until later when you have time. How's it going? Where's the teleportation array? How many are you doing? Gongsunli asked. Lord of the city, I live up to your trust. Jeff's eyes lit up when he heard Gongsunli's words. 3 pieces. Jeff said, making way for him. A dwarf was running towards him with a disc in his forehand. My lord, here. The dwarf ran in front of Gongsun and handed the disc out. Not bad. Gongsunli nodded in affirmation. Now arrange this teleportation array in the square in front of the city lord's mansion, and I'm going to use it now. Pay attention to sending troops to guard it, this thing can't be open to the public right now. Gongsunli commanded. So the dwarves sprang into action. Then, Gongsunli glanced at Jeff's old appearance. At this time, Jeff does look a lot older than when he just migrated, probably because he has more to worry about here. Thinking of this, Gongsunli sighed. Now that she has Motzi, she must be better at playing tricks than Jeff, but Jeff has done so much for her, and there will be a world channel to open up next. There are still many things to do, and naturally we can't rely on Motzi all of them. There is also Suanjaizi, the development of this 1,000 cave city is really good, so naturally these people can't be abandoned like that. Wen even said to Jeff, "You get ready, call Suanjaizi, and come with me for a while." After Gongsunli finished speaking, he turned around and walked in the direction of the city lord's mansion. Jeff nodded suspiciously behind him. He didn't know where Gongsun was going. But there was no delay in the work, and went straight to the city gate to find the mystery. The real world, Blue Star. Xiaguo. Lord, the first team has been assembled and can set off at any time. In addition to 200 Death Squad members, 200 combatants, 100 medical teams and experts in various fields, a total of 500 people, are on standby. In the live broadcast room, the Lord of Xia was sitting there listening to the report of the person next to him. These 500 people are the first batch of teams that Xiaguo is preparing to enter the second home. The so-called Death Squad is just a special soldier, and it is still the kind that has been transformed by monkey wine. This batch, in popular terms, is to explore the way to open up the wasteland, so there are not many soldiers, but the essence. As long as there is no problem after the first batch enters, then the second batch of engineering construction teams will enter immediately. The Lord nodded, feeling that there was no problem with such a configuration. Even the wilderness forests that appear in the second home at that time can survive. It's just that he hasn't contacted Gongsunli until now, because he doesn't know what Gongsunli's attitude towards Xiaguo is now. If Gongsunli was willing to help, then Xiaguo would take off directly. That's right. Suddenly, the Lord of the Kingdom seemed to think of something. Remember to bring a lollipop, that's what I promised Ali. As soon as the words of the Lord of the country came out, the live broadcast room suddenly burst into laughter. Indeed, although I don't know what Gongsunli's attitude towards Xiaguo is now, he has helped Xiaguo a lot. And they found that the only place they could help Gongsunli was lollipops. Don't worry, my lord, it's all ready. Okay, let's go back then. Let me tell you, recuperate, the first step of our Xia kingdom is on you. Yes. Soon, the live broadcast room was quiet again. The lord of the country has been hesitant to send a message to Gongsunli. Because the last time Gongsunli talked to those heroes, it really scared him. However, the most worrying thing is not Xiaguo, but other countries. Quick, bring weapons of mass destruction too, maybe you can use them. At this time, various countries are preparing supplies and preparing to fight into their second home. And they have all been in contact with their own pioneers. We must be faster than Gongsunli, and before she discovers the exit of the world passage, we must come out of it, otherwise the consequences will be unimaginable. At this time, the lord of the Sakura country had a gloomy face and felt a lot of pressure. Because Gongsunli's power in the second home is too great. If she really controls the world passage as she said before, then whether they can get in or not depends on the mood of others. This world passage is the gateway to the real world and the future world. To master the world channel is to master the future development. After all, in Blue Star, there is no room for development. Let's hope that the world access will appear in our own territory. After arranging everything, many lords sighed weakly. They know that this is a struggle, there is no way, who let Gongsunli develop too fast. Soon, she alone can almost threaten the lifeblood development of all the countries of the entire Blue Star. Be prepared to die, if you are really unlucky, you will bump into Gongsunli. Even if we die, we can't make her better. Even if you're powerful, I'm afraid you can't withstand modern weapons, right? At this time, there are countries that are even ready to make a suicidal entry. It's just that they don't know that all these preparations have vanished the moment the world channel is truly opened. Lord, go to the live broadcast room of Xia Kingdom. Gongsunli has summoned those strong people to hold a meeting. Suddenly, in an instant, the world's lords poured into the Xia Kingdom live broadcast room. Gongsunli convened the meeting, that is, to arrange the matter of the World Channel. They can't help but pay attention to this. National Games online game, transform into Gongsunli at the beginning. Author, show your secrets. Chapter 220. Lord of the Castle. On the square of Thousand Cave City, Gongsunli and a group of heroes were standing in the teleportation array. Jeff and Suanjizu ran over out of breath. Seeing that the two of them had also entered the teleportation array, Gongsunli directly opened the teleportation. Lord Castle, we are. Jeff was just about to ask Gongsunli where he was going to take them, but the next moment, he found that the scenery in front of him suddenly changed. Outside, it was originally a crowded square in Thousand Caves, but in the blink of an eye, it turned into a quiet and extremely empty square. This is the Jixia Academy. It's here, come out with me. With that, Gongsunli directly led everyone out of the teleportation array. Sister Ali. Master. At this moment, a handsome man with a cold face walked over. Seeing Gongsunli, the reality said hello, and then greeted Ming Xian next to Gongsunli. Yuxing. Gongsunli responded with a smile, and then said, "Go, gather everyone in the academy hall, and we'll have a meeting later. You two, come with me." After speaking, Gongsunli left with Suanjizi and Jeff. The heroes walked towards the academy hall one after another. Suddenly, Yuxing found that Ming Xian was standing still, as if he was thinking about something. "Master, what's wrong?" "It's okay, let's go, wait for Ali to come back." Ming Xian glanced at Suanjizi again, and then turned around and walked towards the main hall. Suanwei Temple, a small puddle under the ancient tree of life. A golden dragon is swimming inside. Huh! Suddenly, the golden dragon turned into a golden light and flew out, falling to the ground and becoming a little lorry. "Sister Ali, are you back?" The girl ran barefoot outside. "You're recovering?" "Yes." Subsequently, Gongsunli walked in with Suanjizi and the two. Moments later. "This. Am I getting younger?" Under the ancient tree of life, two middle-aged people, one tall and one short, looked at their bodies with shocked faces. These two people are none other than Xianjitsi and Jeff. The two of them, just dipped their fingers in a little spring of life water, and their physical functions regained their prime. At this time, no matter how slow the two of them reacted, they knew that it was the reason for the little water just now. It's just that they don't know that what they tasted just now was just the bath water. However, the effect of this bath water is really against the sky, and I am afraid that even if I know it, I will drink it desperately. The great of the castle lord. The two reacted and prepared to thank Gongsunli. As a result, Gongsun left only one back for the two. "When you get used to it, go back quickly, don't stay here." After saying this, Gongsunli's figure disappeared directly. Leaving Suanjizi, the two looked at each other. Smack! In the middle of the night, Xianjitsi slapped his thigh. "Oh no, my lord asked me to prepare the magic crystal cannon, I forgot." "Then hurry back." With that, the two of them quickly ran out of the Suanwei temple and ran towards the teleportation array under the Jixia. The two of them are now deep down in their hearts, in addition to their gratitude to Gongsunli, they are still grateful. "Hey, I'm really young, and this running is different." Xianjitsi felt his current physical state and couldn't help laughing. "Hey, you old horseman, I've got short legs, wait for me." Jeff yelled in the back, unable to catch up. "Damn, my life will be an adult's from now on." At the same time as the two figures disappeared into the teleportation array, a vague voice came out of the teleportation array. "Who will come to the security of Chang'an City?" In the main hall of Jixia Academy, Gongsunli sat at the top and looked at more than 100 heroes. The faces of these heroes are a little unnatural at this time. Although she said that she would return to Gongsunli, she didn't expect her first sentence to be aimed at Chang'an. You must know that the original managers of Chang'an are all there. Gongsunli glanced at it and laughed secretly in his heart. Of course, she knew who was the most suitable person to manage this Chang'an. So be it. Gongsunli said lightly. The members of Dali Temple remain unchanged. In a word, the tone was set directly. Direnja, the secretary of Dali Temple, take Li Yuanfang, Yunying, BNK, and Zhong Kui to continue to perform your original positions, give you 10,000 guards, and regularize Chang'an City for me. Cheng bites the gold belt 80,000 yuan and does a good job in the security of Chang'an City. Everyone knows that the world passage of another world is about to open, so I am afraid that the pressure on Chang'an City will be great in the future. The remaining 60,000 soldiers, just wait for the world passage to open, and then go to guard the world passage. Gongsunli slowly said his plan. Chang'an City will definitely be the largest city in the future, and there are some things that must be arranged now. Now, whoever wants to go to the town to guard the world passage can speak. Gongsunli's eyes swept over several heroes, exuding a kind of empress demeanor. Nan Nan sat next to her, looking at her with a look of adoration. Nan Nan felt that the current Gongsunli was what she imagined the imperial sister to look like. Miss Gongsun, we still have the Great Wall, so. Mulan stood up directly, refusing on behalf of the Great Wall guards. Although the Great Wall has not yet appeared, it is a matter of time, just wait for Gongsunli to take them to the Great Wall. Let's go. At this time, 3 points of the land, the 5 tiger generals stood up. And us. Now that the world passage has not appeared, it is better for us to find it first, and when it appears, we can discuss it together. In short, if those people want to come in, they must have the consent of the Gongsun girl, and they can't mess around. Don't bother Miss Gongsun about such a trivial matter. What do you say? At this time, Swanyeong's people also stood up. For them, fighting a war is simply a daily routine, and now there is no war to fight, and guarding the world passage is the only war. Moreover, they also want to see how strong the humans of the new world are. Seeing that the people of these two forces were so active, Gongsunli also nodded. That's the effect she wants, and it doesn't matter who guards it at all. The key is to stay idle, for fear that something will happen, so that there will be no problems. That's no problem. In the next 2 days, there will be newly deployed magic crystal cannons sent to Chang'an one after another, and when the time comes, you have to do a good job of handing over Cheng Biting Jin. In addition, a small building will be cleared in Chang'an City, and in the future, everyone will have a place to settle down when they arrive in Chang'an. Gongsunli carefully calculated. Suddenly, her eyes lit up. Ali, the first team of our country to enter the second home has been assembled. Is there anything else to bring besides lollipops? A barrage from the lord of the country entered Gongsunli's sight. At this time, the live broadcast room of Xiaguo was really lively, especially after hearing Gongsunli's deployment of the World Channel. The opinions of other countries on Gongsunli are really big, but they are helpless. The corners of Gongsunli's mouth hooked up a charming arc. Now it's time for us to talk to the people of the other world about the conditions of coming into this world. As soon as these words came out, Xiaguo's live broadcast room exploded directly.